Decatur and Atlanta metro area. We represent clients who have been wrongly accused or mistreated by law enforcement. I'm accompanied by our senior associate, Attorney Eugene Gray, who will be assisting me on this case. And we want to announce a number of things. First and foremost, we want to thank the organizing effort of Eyelash Vision PR, both Shantae Trainham and Mimi Carpenter for their hard work in getting you all out here to the beautiful Decatur where it's greater, as we say. So we really appreciate them helping put this together. We are here because on October the 6th, a young man, an artist, an actor, a motivator, a young person who I look to as a leader for other young people, was violated by law enforcement in Cobb County, Cumberland Mall, simply minding his own business with his aunt. In fact, what happened on that day is a tale that we should all become too familiar with, unfortunately. A young man in the mall, minding his own business, security approaches him and asks, are you supposed to be here, right? We understand, and we are, as an activist and organizing law firm, we believe that people of African descent, people all over, and young people in particular, should have rights to be in certain spaces and not feel constrained, not feel intimidated. But this security officer walked up to Corey J., approaches him, asks him these questions, asks for his information to determine whether or not a criminal trespass warning had been issued. That was not the case. There had never been a criminal trespass warning issued against him or his aunt Star. They provided that security officer with the information. While he was checking it, an officer, law enforcement officer, then comes and becomes involved in the process. Had nothing to do with it. It was all being worked out with security. When that officer gets involved, he asked the same set of questions, and the response was the same. Star, who was the adult, his aunt, tried to provide that information to law enforcement, and law enforcement then turns to this child. And I want us to keep remembering that it's our children who continue to be brutalized, but turns to this child and says, no, I want you to tell me. As if this adult, this African-American adult who was present, didn't have the authority to speak on behalf of this child. And so at that point, things were clearly going in the wrong direction and had nothing to do with anything they had said or done. They again try to reiterate his name, his age. Officer becomes even more aggressive. And it's at that point that the two young people that Corey J was speaking with, they turn and walk away. Corey J reaches out to give them dap as they walk away, to just greet them as they walk away, and then the officer suddenly grabs him. And we have photos of the bruise that it left on his arm, grabs him and places him in a hold. This child, charged with nothing. Not stealing, not doing anything whatsoever, but feels as though it is so necessary that he is such a criminal that he was to be handled by as a criminal on that day, places him in a hold and is holding him. And at that point, you begin to see the video that has now gone viral with respect to him, this child, trying to de-escalate what law enforcement should have never, ever started. And based on that, he was charged. We intend on defending him zealously. He was charged in juvenile court. We don't have any updates for you right now with respect to when his court case will proceed, but we will bring out our entire legal team to ensure that his record is clear of what we believe the injustice was the attack and police misconduct against him, nothing that he did. And so instead of just taking this like so many people in our community end up doing, thankfully, this young man with his parents, with the support of members of the hip-hop community, members of our community, of the arts community, have said enough's enough. And there has to be some education that's done even to empower our young people. And so with that, I would like to bring up his mother, Lori Johnson so she can give you all some information about how this has impacted her and their family and what they're doing to try to move forward as a family and help move our community forward. Ms. Johnson.
Good morning. As he said, my name is Lori Johnson. I am Corey's mother. Being that I have 2 kids, and my child called me on that day, and I wasn't here to condone my child. And for me to hear my baby say, I didn't do anything wrong. We raised our child to respect anybody. It doesn't matter what age, what gender. We don't teach them to treat anybody different. And, you know, him coming back home and us having to get him in sessions to have counseling, because you get to the point where you can't trust anybody that's supposed to protect you. That's a hard thing to go through. And so, you know, it's just a heartfelt thing that I have to go through, because I have another child that has to see her brother get his confidence back to know that he didn't do anything wrong. And he is her role model. He shows her the way. And so for him, basically, you know, I can't say that it didn't hurt him emotionally, because you could hear it through the phone. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't here to condone or hold my child and tell him, you know, it's okay, you know, because the next day you're going to be all right, but it takes time to build him back up. It takes time to condole a child. He's still a child. I still have to go through the motion of holding him and telling him that it's okay.
We want to bring up Corey's dad, Chase Jackson, who had an interaction with the law enforcement officer, and can tell you a little bit about what that law enforcement officer's mentality was, even when talking to the father of Corey J's dad, Chase Jackson.
Hey, how y'all doing today? I'm Chase, by the way. First off, I want to appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for coming out to support Corey, be behind Corey in this situation. I'm not taking up too much time. One of my biggest things was, and I wasn't there initially when they approached Corey and Star. I came in after, maybe 5-10 minutes after I came in, and their story that they told me, I experienced it myself when I came into. We went to a back room and he asked for Corey information. I tried to give him Corey information. I'm the father. He told me, no, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him. He's going to give it to me. Me as a father, I felt belittled, disrespected. I wanted to say something, I wanted to do something, but I just sit back. At the same time, knowing this is not the proper procedure that this officer should be taking. And at the same time, before he left out their room, he threatened me and my son that if a video get released of him putting his hands on this 12-year-old child, it's not going to be good for us. So we didn't initially come out with the video on October the 6th because we were scared. I've never been through nothing like that. My child never been through nothing like that. So it was a scary situation. And you're up against the police. And they didn't say it, you know, well, he said, you put the video out, it's going to be bad for you and your family. So, you know, thanks to Attorney Davis, thanks to people like Boosie, T.I., thanks to Miss Vanessa, people that got behind us when they got hold to this story and helped build Corey up, helped build us up and say, no, we going to push forward with this. It needs to be heard. And that's all I want to say, and I just want to thank y'all for coming out.
We want to bring one of the organizers that has been supporting Corey throughout. We want to bring up Vanessa Williams. She is the founder of In Just Us. She'll talk about one of the initiatives that Corey J will be involved in terms of helping empower him and other young people in police encounters. So, Ms. Vanessa Williams.
Good morning. Like everyone else, may I first just say thank you for coming out this morning, this afternoon, and being with us. Injustice is a collaboration of many efforts. It's an effort between Show the World Foundation, which is the nonprofit organization of the artist Torrance Hatch and with Mr. Boosie. It's a collaboration between ATL Projects, Sister Care, Noble, which is the national organization of black elected officials, law enforcement agents. And we have a collaborative effort here of understanding people educated people who understand this is wrong. This is wrong and this is injustice. And today, though I have many other titles that I can share, I'm standing here as a mother, as a concerned mother and a concerned member of this community. It was a little after the month of October when I was driving in the car and I began to hear my phone ding from people sending me the actual viral video that had been given out to many people within the social media community. I would like to tell you that it was the jerking of Corey that grabbed me or moved me, but it was actually the screaming of his aunt. It was to hear a young woman scream and to feel helpless about the fact that a child that she was a surrogate of at that moment as the aunt, she was the mom. She was the figure that was there to protect him, to feel hopeless and helpless. To hear that scream and to understand that as a black woman, as a mother, as an aunt, as a sister, as a member of this community, we've seen too much of this. We've heard too much of it, we've seen too much of it, and we have to end it. And so together we've collectively come up with an initiative called Injustice, End Just Us, End Just Our Children. Let's remove the injustice that is taking place within our communities so that we can collectively come together with law enforcement, members of our community to have a pragmatic way to solve the issues that are in our community today. So again, I just want to thank all of our nonprofit organizations, ATL Projects, Show the World, Noble, and I know Attorney Davis is saying he's the lawyer here, but it is important that not only our law enforcement, but also those that have been given the duty to care, to see the importance of our young people knowing that we're standing with them and that they're not standing alone. So what this embodies is that we are going to, on January 21st, we're going to host a summit. This youth summit would be called Injustice, but it will be a collaboration between members of the hip hop community, members of the law enforcement, and youth in our community coming together so that we can start bridging this gap and start creating a place where we can have healing. And that's what's needed in our community, and that's what we're about. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, I want to bring Corey up. Obviously, just we want to make clear, he has an open case that we're defending. So his comments will be limited in terms of what he can speak to directly, but we want you to hear this young man's voice because it's a powerful voice. It's a voice that's been cultivated by his parents, by his community, and it's one that, thankfully, with the support of Boosie and others, that it won't be silenced. Because so often we know that our young people can be silenced when they're traumatized by different events, whether it's through law enforcement or other violence in our community. But thankfully, this young brother's voice you will hear, and he will continue to press forward, and we'll be there as a law firm to continue to support him throughout this fight. Come on, brother.
Hey, how you doing? For those of you who don't know, I'm Corey Jackson, better known as Corey J, aka Lil C Note. And the first thing I would like to do is thank everybody for coming out and allowing me to put your feet in my shoes as I take you through this life-changing and traumatizing day in my life. Now, what I want you all to know first is I always wear my bags to go with my outfit. Like now I have my bag that goes with my outfit. This is how I dress. But I don't believe that you should be judged on how you dress. I'm an artist, and more than that, I also want to be a leader. Because there's many more young people, young men, everybody, this whole community that the police force has mistreated or mishandled. And like Mr. Davis has said, their voice was silent. So I want to be the leader, and not only the leader, but the voice for them. And I want my voice to be heard, to guide them. Actually, if you don't know, it was a Hoover incident in the mall. See, me and my auntie, we were thinking just because we were in the mall, there was a lot of people around, a lot of cameras, that nothing that bad could happen to us. And that was just traumatizing me to hear an incident where a young man, Bradford Jr., Mr. Bradford Jr., he actually isn't even here today. He was in a mall, he was shot and killed, army man. He was trying to help the rest because a fight had broke out and there was a shooting. He was an army man, killed by a police officer in the mall. I was shook right there at that moment. But at the same time, I said, I have to be a voice for him. And I must say, even though he isn't here, I want to thank him. He helped me build up my confidence so I could be here to talk to you now. Because I said, he isn't here. I know it's a lot of people who probably aren't here that I don't even know about. So I have to be a voice for them and the young people who didn't get this opportunity to be up here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let Corey go with it.
All right, Corey, come tell them about the music you created and the inspiration for it. How about that?
Well, like Mr. Davis was saying, I have my EP dropping today. It's going to be called Injustice. And as it is, the meaning Injustice, as Ms. Vanessa has said, it's about injustice, our community, our youth, our young men. It's about the whole community. And it's not just black people at that. I'm including everybody. When I say injustice, that means your mom, your dad, your sister, cousin, brother. It doesn't matter who it is. It's injustice. It's whoever you stand with, whoever you believed in, whoever you would fight for if you know what's right. That is what injustice means. And that's exactly what I'm promoting on the EP. And all of my music, it has a meaning. And every song, it has a meaning. It has my story behind it. It has what I've seen. It has what I've heard. It has what I've been through. That is what injustice means for me, and that's what this EP means for me. This, basically, when you hear my music, this is a piece of me that you're hearing. You're hearing what I went through and what I've seen other people go through and what I want to do about it. That's what you're going to hear when you hear Injustice. When you hear my EP, that's what you're going to hear.
Thank you. Questions? Are we going to play some of
It's
it?
right up there with you.
It's right up here.
Yeah.
All right.
Take questions.
I'll take questions while, we can take some questions while we get set up just to hear a little piece of it. Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Tuff with NBC Atlanta. So you do believe that Corey was targeted because of his high-profile situation or just because of the color of his skin?
Both. We believe that he was targeted because, as he said, he wears hip-hop. This is a part of how he moves, he dresses. This is cultural. And so what we want and we believe people should look at, these are cultural attacks. These are attacks on our culture as a people. When I have to tell my 19 and 21-year-old, yo man, take your hoodie off because that may create a situation. White parents aren't telling their children that. But I'm having, as a lawyer that's put in every day, I'm having to tell my children, they're in college. And I'm saying, hey man, they may, pull up on you. And that's the reality of it. So these are cultural attacks and we have to call it what it is at this point. And we're just thankful that we have some folks that are able to put it on another level platform. Because this isn't new. From our perspective, this has been going on for many, many years. That's where we are. So we believe that he was definitely targeted. And we see this kind of targeting. We receive calls on a daily basis in our office about law enforcement using too much force, being disrespectful, and all those calls are coming from African Americans. And our number is available to anyone. So I would tell you if there were white people calling more, it's not happening. African American folks are the ones experiencing this ongoing traumatizing effect of being targeted, being assaulted, and even in the worst instances of being killed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so understanding that this happened to this young man, unfortunately, how are we using this to move forward, and how do we help other young black men?
That's a great question. Thank you. Corey, and within Injustice, this summit on January 21st will be another step. We don't ever want to say first step because in a way that dishonors the work of our ancestors. We want to say another step. So this will be another step in bringing community together. And so we'll be inviting out youth groups from different YMCAs, different youth groups to come out and hear not only from him but from organizers as well as attorneys to talk about here's when you interact with law enforcement, here's how you de-escalate. I think the video that you saw of him is a really great example of him trying to de-escalate. right? Law enforcement, there's a class that law enforcement takes called verbal judo. And verbal judo is supposed to be a de-escalation tactic for law enforcement. But unfortunately, we as a community, like, we have to have these talks with our children about when you drive, when you get pulled over, put your hands up, don't reach, all of those things. We still have another step on teaching our young people, hey, this is how you de-escalate with a law enforcement officer who's being aggressive. And so that's what that summit and conversation will be about. It'll be a space for them to be able to also to speak their truth. What's empowering is that he has an opportunity to be on a record with Boosie and really speaking. That's powerful. You know, so now it's giving him, again, that courage to keep fighting and to keep pressing. And not every young person has that. So we hope at this event, other young people will have a chance to have their voices heard in that way, whether it's through music or through art. We have Charmaine Menefield here. She's a visual artist. She's doing murals in preparation for the Super Bowl. She's here to support. So she'll be a part of that work and giving our young people outlets to speak their truth. We ready? Yes.
One last question. I want to commend Boosie. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Are we challenging other celebrities to stand up for our young black men, young black women, you know, as a whole? Because you guys are the voice, really, for our young people. Everything that you say and everything that you do, they want to be a part of that. They want to emulate you guys all the way. So how do we challenge other celebrities, or are we already doing that?
I can't really talk for other celebrities. You know, I really did it because I got a heart. You know, I got a heart, and I've been through a similar situation that I'm in a silver cage for now that I can't talk too much on, but it was the same instance. I was in the mall shopping, and they might have had 200-300 people waiting outside the store for me, and I was maced. You know, I was maced in front of my daughter. My mall security and police maced in front of my daughter. After pleading, I'm gone. I'm trying to get out the mall. This is on camera. This is on everywhere. Ran down and maced. You know, and when I saw his situation, I got mad because, you know, I'm a man. This a baby. You know, this a child. You know, so I got real mad. That's what really made me come on, because I've been through the same situation. Like, I was maced down just for shopping in the mall. And I feel it was the same thing. He was targeted, just like me. I was targeted, and I was targeted racially. Because if that was Justin Bieber in the mall shopping, he wouldn't have got sprayed with mace. They would have opened the back door for him to walk out safe. He wouldn't have got sprayed with mace, so it's deep.
And just to speak to that, Vanessa, you want to share some of the other artists that have...
Well, through, as Boosie has shared, through his vocalization of the pain of this young man and what he's going through, many other artists have also come to the forefront. And Chase, if you can help me, please. I know that we have the T.I., who has been a very big supporter. He was not able to be with us today, but he will be with us at the summit. He's always lent his support as well. And also, you've had the support of, sorry, Corey has had the support of several other artists, but specifically here in the Atlanta area, it's definitely been Mr. T.I., Mr. Harris, as well as Boosie leading the charge and getting other artists to come forward and to use their platform in a positive way.
Yes.
I brought him something.
Oh, you brought him something. Oh, come on.
It's a swag bag. It's a book bag with a hood on it. But I basically created on the fact that I understand what he's going through. I'm a female artist, and it's more painful for me because I feel like the men don't protect us. Maybe it's because they don't know how. My pops wasn't there, so he wasn't ever taught how to be a cop, but it's scary for us, especially I'm from up north. We come down south, we always get attacked by males. It be black males sometimes, but so for me to be a female, be scared, and I'm not scared of nothing. For him to be that age, he's like, son, gotta happen. We kill each other every day. But when it comes to somebody else, nobody step up and come to the forefront. But I basically made a book bag, this guy hood on it, like right after Trayvon Martin got killed. So if anybody got a problem with the hood, you take the hood off. This side go right here.
That's neat.
Thank you.
My client is the bag. It basically say, build king, and the queen, build a bag. It's about building a legacy, not making money.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Can you tell us your name?
Oh, my name is Ellie Cartier.
Ellie County.
Yeah. Keep your head up, man. Keep grinding. I was your age when I first started, man. Keep going at it.
All right, we're going. Okay.
But what I wanted to make sure I do before everybody departed and went their separate ways is, I wanted to make sure all of you knew about the music, and not only that, how I felt about the situation and about what's been going on. I'm not the first and most, and it's sad to say, but I'm also not the last. It's going to continue to happen. And that's why I have to say, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Mr. Boosie. I want to thank Miss Vanessa, Miss Shantae, Miss Mimi. I want to thank everybody. And as it is, I'm not saying that what my auntie did was right. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. But what I want to say is, I also want to thank her on what she did. Because I know that if you really want to know what was going to continue to happen, if she wanted to interfere and help me out, I was going to bust it out in tears. Because, you know, that was just a traumatizing experience. I was always raised to respect police officers with the utmost respect. You know, I look up to police officers. I know they're here to protect and serve us, but it was just like my whole world was just flipped upside down. You know, I know they're here to protect and serve us, not here to harm and put us in danger. You know, the police, they're the people who we call when we're hiding under the bed from the robbers and the killers, the dangerous people. But now, I'm being treated as a dangerous. Well, in that situation, I was treated as if I was a robber or a killer, or I was doing something wrong, which I wasn't. I was just walking, talking. That's how I was doing. And like I say, I can't stress it no more, and I can't tell you no more how traumatizing it was for me. That's the only word I can use to describe this experience. Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people who, in this room, everybody, if you have kids, you teach them. Whenever you see an officer, you respect them. If they come up to you, you say, hey, how you doing? It don't matter the situation. Make sure you respect them in every way you can. And that's how my parents raised me. They taught me to always do that. Whenever you see an officer, respect them. But now after this, when I see an officer, to be frankly clear with you and tell you the truth, I don't know what's going to happen. When I see an officer, I'm a little bit shook. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to come up to me and say, hey, you. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm shook. I feel uncomfortable. And I know that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't see an officer and feel uncomfortable. And see, my point is, I know I'm not the first and I'm not the last to feel uncomfortable when I see an officer or this situation happen. And that's why I want to inspire the rest. That's what I want to do. And I also want you to hear my music and hear me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You want to play a little bit?
Yeah.
Boosie? Oh, Boosie, you want?
No.
Go ahead.
Lastly, as you all can hear, this is why it's important for our young people to have a way of having therapy, a way of being able to seek help, and having community support. Corey, and I asked Boosie to come back forward because he really created an opportunity for this young man that a lot of young people do not have. They don't have the access to a Torrance Hatch, to a Boosie. But in that, the sister asked earlier, she's asked the question, did we feel that Corey was being targeted because he was a black male or because he was an artist? And the fact of the matter is Corey was on Ellen. And Boosie said this over and over again. He said, I wasn't even on Ellen. I've never been on Ellen DeGeneres. But Corey and his business savvy, his youth leadership, caused a nationally syndicated personality to sought out this young man, to have him come on her show. And so that says something about his leadership even before this incident happened. So when you have young people who are striving to be excellent with their craft, operate in a spirit of excellence in what they do, we have to protect that and not allow other people to come in and break the spirit of our children so that they don't blossom and grow and they begin to look at what was a God's gift to them as a curse. So that's what this is about. And I asked Mr. Hatch to come back forward because he shared a few words, but the platform that he's created, I think, for Corey Boosie, if you could just talk about what you all are doing with the LP, I think is amazing. It's really amazing.
Well, it's a project we put together.
And 2D, where's 2D?
It was a project we put together called Injustice. It's basically Corey just speaking his story. The music is basically on what happened on the situation, and just positive music, and he good too. So we want everybody to go download it and check it out, and just support the movement and keep getting the message out. That's why I'm here, to just help get the message out.
I'm supposed to be here right now. Benny gave up. Like, I'm supposed to be here. Benny gave up. When I started, that's really why I did. Started this when I was 6. That's when I started. Back in 2006 when I was born. That's the year I was to quit. For real. Cause I ain't wanna keep doing this. So young, taking big risks. Big dreams, you don't mind to quit. How we gon' stop him if he get rich? We trying to teach the whole youth to have confidence. Don't stand up, chase their dream. Empowerment. What would you do if your mama could pay the rent? If you just wanted to be a helper, added your 2 cents. So you started, come on, and tell them all. Just wanna be a helper if your mama feed her daughter. If somebody's wanna stop you and treat you like a criminal. So what you think gon' happen is probably he gon' regret it. He gon' think about it, just trying to get his knees met. Then what's next? Yeah, he doing felony. Jail cell, another brother going rapidly. But let's not forget, he tried it the right way. At only 12 years old, he was facing a court date. Am I talking about me? Think they wanna see you win? Can't put you down, you get off on the ring. Took so many years, you will never forget. I don't ever think they wanna see you win. Can't put you down, you get off on the ring. Took so many years, you will never forget.
Boosie boom, and I been shoulda gave up. When he gave me diabetes, shoulda gave up. They just maced me and I'm all off some slave stuff. Still I told the world what happened on some brave stuff. Eyes burning, it's a fact. Eyes burning cause I'm famous and I'm black. They took a lot of risks, stealing shot power, shaking haters off like I did God. They ain't want me to be this great, so they can't talk in front of me when they speak their hate. And I would never, ever forget what you did, cause you did what you did from my kid. Mr. Police, abusing your authority. Look at Mr. Police, picking on minorities. Mr. Police, putting your hands on the child, then you walk right and cold and tell a lie. Mr. Police, Mr. Police.
But no matter what, don't give up. Keep chasing your dreams. It's big. Supposed to be gave up. I don't ever think I wanna see you win. Can't put you down and get off on the line. Took so many years, you will never forget. Supposed to be gave up. I don't ever think I wanna see you win. Can't put you down and get off on the line. Took so many years, you will never forget.
Again, we thank you all for being here. We hope that you will come out. Again, share the date for all of the young people, January 21st. We'll provide all of that information. It's Martin Luther King weekend. We'll provide all of that information to you electronically. I know there's a flyer that's been created and all of that will go out today once the EP drops as well. So again, thank you all. We appreciate it. Okay, and we have the voice of the youth here. I want to, come on.
We also had a visitor from Philadelphia, and he speaks for the voice of the youth, and this is his brand. And he actually heard about the case, and he wanted to present this. So he traveled near and far to be a port, to be a strong supporter of everything that's going on. So we wanted to give this to you for
If we can have everybody pose just for a couple still shots when he's finished. One more.
Hold on,
One more speaker.
You wanted to address.
How you doing? My name is Quad, LGP Quad, aka the voice of the youth. I'm from Philadelphia. I've been heard about this story. If anybody don't know me, on Instagram, I do freestyle speaking on situations such as this. I'm an artist, recording artist, so it's like, this Sunday I will be mentioning my upcoming freestyle on my Instagram, by the way, but when I hear things like this, it get me to that like level, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like with them kids out there. I know what it's like with the youth out there. And that's what I bring in my music to tell them, and I try to be the role model that I couldn't be, the best of my ability. But when I saw that video with him being harassed like that, when I saw that video, like just the racism I seen, the energy, the vibe I got, it was like I couldn't stand it. Like at his age too. So it was like, that was a real traumatizing experience. I got 2 kids, a daughter and a son. I wouldn't want, I don't know what I would do, so I can only feel for his family and his loved ones that had to see that. So, like I said, I just came out here to support. I feel as though it's my job to do that, and I want everybody to see that so they can start doing that, celebrities or whoever. So, you know, and thank everybody for coming out. This is what we need to start doing more. They need to see this. All positivity. Thanks.
Thank you.